Shocking truth, what happens when you speak at 3 a.m.? Yogananda's dark manifestation secret. The clock struck 3. The air was thick, heavy with an unsettling silence that felt almost alive. No birds sang, no cars passed by. It was as if the entire world held its breath, waiting. In the darkness, a flickering streetlight cast eerie shadows on the pavement, twisting them into unnatural shapes. Some say that speaking at this hour taps into realms beyond our understanding, realms where thoughts can become reality, and where the whispers of the spirit world echo back. But what if those whispers were warnings? A young woman named Claire stood on her porch, hunched over her cell phone. Her trembling fingers typed hastily as she connected with a mystical group online. They believed in the power of manifestation, Yogananda's secrets unlocked at the stroke of 3. The way they talked made Claire's skin prickle with anticipation. They said the universe opened its gates at this witching hour. Whatever you asked for, it would respond, but at a price. An unsettling chill coursed through her. Just an hour ago, she was sharing laughter with friends, oblivious to the dark tale of the last person who spoke too loudly at this hour. They claimed the echoes of that night rippled through the town, leaving shadows behind. Laughter turned to screams, and screams morphed into something worse, something that stole away the sunlight for weeks. Her heart raced as thoughts slipped into her mind like whispers on the wind. Were they just stories, or was there truth lurking in the night? As she prepared to speak aloud into the void, something shuffled in the bushes nearby. Claire's breath hitched, each heartbeat pounding against her chest. It was too dark to see, but she felt it all around her, the weight of unseen eyes watching, waiting. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash the like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. With the cover of silence, Claire took a deep breath. She needed to manifest her dream, however dangerous it might be. The words hung in the air, and as she spoke, a sudden gust swept across the yard, sending chills down her spine. It felt as if the universe shifted, a fissure breaking in the fabric of the night. The hair on her arms lifted as the shadows danced ominously at the edge of her vision. What happened next sent her heart into overdrive. Something, or someone, answered back. A presence, palpable and unsettling, whispered a name, her name. Just as the moon hid behind a storm cloud, so too did her sanity begin to slip away. Who was on the other end, and what would they demand? The air thickened, crackling around Claire as the voice twisted through her, a soft, almost tender whisper that resonated deep in her core. Her heartbeat became a frantic drum. It called her name, and in that moment, she felt the boundaries of her reality start to fray. Claire, the voice was entangled in shadows, seductive but foreboding. It felt familiar yet alien, a ghost of her own fears. What was this presence that beckoned her? Was she really prepared for what she had unleashed? She fought against the primal urge to run inside and bolt the door, to seal herself away from whatever lurked in the darkness. But part of her was drawn closer, intrigued, desperate for answers. Who are you? She dared to ask, her voice trembling as it sliced through the silence. The moment the question left her lips, the shadows shifted like a living entity, coiling around her feet and spiraling into the night. She held her breath, waiting. Your greatest desire, the echoing voice drew out each word, like a slow, tantalizing promise draped in silk. But it comes with a choice, a sacrifice. Claire's mind raced back to the tales, the warnings so ingrained in her friends' laughter earlier. A price to pay, they said. It was not just a light-hearted urban legend, it bore the weight of something relentless and dark. Should she flee? Should she shout for help? But the pull of ambition, of a dream twisted inside her, kept her frozen. What could she possibly lose? The thought stung, desperation ignited her curiosity. What kind of sacrifice? She managed, her voice barely rising above the whisper of the wind. Something or someone you hold dear. Chills coursed through her veins. The stakes felt uncomfortably high, yet the thrill of the potential was intoxicating. Claire glanced at her phone, illuminated with messages filled with hopes and fears from the mystical group. They claimed power could change lives, could birth dreams. How will I know what to give? She pressed, stumbling through the fog of dread and yearning. Just listen, a soft chuckle echoed, sending shivers down her spine. The shadows seemed to pulse with life, a dark dance illuminating a truth buried within the recesses of her heart. Suddenly, a blinding light pierced through the shadows, illuminating her porch. Claire squinted, shielding her eyes from the glare. A figure emerged in the brightness, a woman, ethereal and radiant, with an expression of both sorrow and joy. Her heart pounded louder in her chest. Who was this woman? Why did she feel a connection to her? Just as Claire opened her mouth to speak, the light flickered violently, and the woman faltered, her form wavering like smoke in the air. Choose wisely, Claire, she implored, her voice now layered with urgency. You have one chance. Claire's mind raced as the weight of the decision enveloped her. Was the presence she sensed a harbinger of hope or destruction? In that moment, she felt torn between her darkest fears and her greatest ambitions. But it was not just her future at stake. What depths of consequence lay in the shadowy whispers wrapping around her soul? The world felt like it was collapsing into a singularity of tension, compressing her options into silence. With the flickering light illuminating her choices, Claire faced the unknown, the answer clawing at her insides. What price was she willing to pay? The last whisper lingered on the wind, heavy with foreboding as the darkness awaited her reply, blending into the shadows that beckoned. As the clock ticked toward dawn, Claire felt the power surging within her fingertips. And somewhere, deep in the night, a sinister energy crackled, ready to receive her answer. Claire stood paralyzed as the light flickered around her, the weight of its intensity pressing down like the thick humidity before a storm. The figure, a radiant silhouette painted in hues of silver and gold, shimmered as if it might dissolve into the night at any moment. Choose wisely. The woman's urgent plea echoed, piercing through Claire's disoriented thoughts. The shadows danced at the edges of the porch, whispering secrets she couldn't quite grasp. Claire's mind raced with images of her dreams, each one brighter than the last. But alongside them, a shadow lurked, an excruciating memory of her mother's face, frail and tired, woven tightly with her childhood fears and regrets. What if I refuse? Claire found her voice, a thin thread mingling with the tension in the air. The moment she spoke, the energy shifted, crackling like a live wire. Refusal carries its own weight, the figure answered, sorrow lacing her voice. Your dreams will fade to dust, while your greatest fear will claw its way to the surface. A chill slithered down Claire's spine. What fear could possibly run deeper than the longing for her dreams? Holding her breath, she glanced again at her phone. The messages from her friends felt like chains, binding her to this moment. Could they feel her tension through the screen, the darkness wrapping around her like an enraged serpent? The ethereal woman caught her gaze, and the sadness in her eyes flickered like a dying flame. I cannot choose for you, Claire, she whispered, her image shimmering as if threatened to dissolve. But remember, every choice has a cost. Suddenly, the air grew heavier, thick with the weight of anticipation. Claire could almost taste the tension, metallic and bitter. The whispers surged, wrapping around her limbs, coaxing her into the depths of a decision that felt impossible. Think of what you desire most, the voice urged, echoing through the shrouded corners of her mind. And what you would give to reach it. Instinctively, her thoughts drifted toward her writing, a flame of passion that flickered ever just out of reach. The thrill of her stories taking a life of their own danced wildly in her imagination. But was it worth sacrificing the very people who had nurtured her dreams? A nearby streetlight buzzed ominously, sending a jolt of reality through her, pulling Claire closer to her choices. Voices from the past echoed around her, friends laughing, her mother's gentle encouragement, the weight of those bonds pressing against her consciousness. Will I destroy the very support that feeds my ambition? Claire felt tears prick her eyes, the desperation rising like bile. Can I truly choose between my dreams and the love that defines me? Only you can decide, the woman said, her form flickering again, face a mask of anguish and hope. As shadows lunged closer, merging with the whispers that enveloped her, Claire realized the moment had arrived, sharp as glass. Time itself stood still, and within her gut, something churned. There, at the nexus of ambition and love, a visceral truth emerged: she could not exist without both, but the darkness pressed on her with insistent force, wrapping its coils tighter, and suddenly impossibly the choice no longer felt like one of her making. "No!" she shouted, desperation spilling over. "I won't sacrifice anything." A palpable silence filled the air. The light brightened, almost blinding her, and the figure hesitated, caught between compassion and dread. Time seemed to stretch endlessly, taut like a string on the verge of snapping. "What have you done?" The words were sharper now, a rise of panic weaving into the air. Before she could answer, the shadows recoiled, leading Claire into an impenetrable haze, suffocating her choices in confusion. A singular thought sparked in her mind: what if, failing to give in, she had triggered something far worse? In that moment of doubt, an ominous crack echoed through the night, and reality trembled, bending around her. Somewhere in the distance, a figure emerged from the darkness, a twisted version of her own reflection staring back, its grin unsettling. As the figure approached, Claire's heart raced, and the shadows thickened, whispering frantically. What were the consequences of her defiance? And would she be able to confront this new threat that had awakened in the wake of her choice? The darkness rolled in, thick and suffocating. Claire's breath quickened as the twisted figure moved closer, its shimmering smile holding a distorted mirror of everything she feared and coveted. It seemed to know her, knew the cracks in her resolve, the flickering ambitions that threatened to ignite her soul. "What do you want from me?" Claire's voice trembled, caught between fear and a desperate need for clarity. The reflection laughed softly, a sound that curled her stomach into knots. "It's not what I want, Claire," it said, the smoothness of its voice wrapped in venomous sweetness. "It's what you want, deep down, the truth you're afraid to face." With each heartbeat, every inch of Claire's resolve felt as if it were being slowly carved away. The entity drew nearer, and she could see the fine details of its face, her own features twisted into grotesque delight, eyes alight with hungry ambition. "Admit it," the thing crooned, each word sinking deeper into her psyche. "You've always preferred dreams to reality. The whispers, the stories, they're safer than facing the pain of truth." "I want to be a writer." Claire exploded, the words spilling out like lava. "But I don't want to lose my friends. I don't want to lose my mom." The figure paused, and for an agonizing moment, chaos reigned between them. Then, it smiled wider, almost cruelly, as if her anguish fed it. "And yet, here you stand. Torn between what you desire and what you fear." A bitter wind surged around them, pulling Claire toward the abyss that loomed behind her. The night seemed to throb with unseen forces, and the shadows danced to the rhythm of her anxiety. She felt their cold fingers on her skin, teasing the edges of her resolve, threatening to drag her down into the dark. "What if I tell you that surrendering the ones you love is not a cost, but an answer?" The distorted double of herself leaned in closer, its breath cold and biting. "What if those bonds were nothing but chains, holding back your true self?" "No!" Claire shouted, shaking her head as if to cast off the creeping thoughts. "I won't believe you. I won't let go." But even as she shouted, doubt flooded her. Could her ambitions truly take flight without the warmth of her loved ones? The need to pursue her dreams felt intoxicating, yet the shadow of hurt loomed larger than ever. "Time is running out, Claire," the figure hissed, its voice wrapping around her senses like a vice. "Every moment spent hesitating brings you closer to your own demise. Make a choice: dream without love or love in fear of sacrifice." In that crushing moment, Claire found herself swaying, and she grappled with a reality she never wished to face: her own selfishness. What if pursuing her dreams meant pushing others away? The concept tore at her heart, forcing tears to spill down her cheeks as the heavy weight of truth tugged at her soul. The shadows pressed in tighter, and it seemed as if the very air was thickening with dark energy. A flash of light sparked in the night sky, illuminating the figure standing before her, its grin now resembling a gaping maw. "Choose before it's too late," it bellowed, the sounds vibrating through the air like distant thunder. "Will you embrace your authenticity, or are you too afraid to relinquish the masks you've worn?" A jolt reverberated through Clara's chest as the reality of her fears clawed insistently at the edges of her mind. Could she truly rise to claim the life she wanted? The necessity of the choice pressed down, ensnaring her in a web of uncertainty. Then, without warning, the ground trembled, shaking away her sense of safety. The figure lunged forward, its hand reaching out to grasp her. Frozen between the two extremes, guilt and ambition, Claire prepared for the next fight. What if the choice she made now sealed her fate forever? Would she be brave enough to carve her own path amid the chaos, or would darkness claim her in its eager embrace? The chaos intensified, and Claire's heart raced. Time was short, decisions loomed, and shadows gathered, waiting. What would happen when she finally took a step toward that terrifying truth? The abyss yawned behind her, a seething void that pulled at Claire's very essence. The terrible figure loomed closer, its hand stretching toward her like a viper ready to strike. Fear coiled tightly in her stomach, she could hardly breathe. The molten words of ambition she had hurled just moments ago felt like fuel to the flames of this monstrous self-revelation. Do it, Claire. Let go, the creature purred, its voice slithering through her mind, seductive and poisonous. Your friends and family? They'll only hold you down. Embrace who you really are. No. She shook her head violently, as if to clear the intoxicating haze it spun around her. Memories of laughter with her friends flickered like flames before her. Should she give those up for the chance to chase her dreams, blinded by this deceptive temptation? Yet the tug of ambition pulsed within her. Maybe there lay freedom in cutting those cords. There was a world where she could be wild, unrestrained, raw with creative expression. But at that cost. Suddenly, her thoughts shifted. An image of her mother's smile, painting on canvas under the warm sun, that unyielding support through tears and triumphs. The creature grinned, sensing her internal conflict. Nostalgia, Claire. Don't confuse it with love. It's just a chain on your creativity. The ground cracked ominously beneath her feet. Claire's heart raced, time was slipping through her fingers like sand. Choose. The figure roared, an echo of bitter laughter hanging between them. Will you let your ambitions soar, or stay shackled to the past? Dark energies swirled around her, grappling with her doubt. Tendrils of shadow reached for her, grazing her arms and sending chills down her spine. She could feel the sharp bite of isolation creeping into her mind as she stood at this precipice. This moment was everything. Claire sensed her friends' faces blurring in her mind, their kindness and joy slipping away as if they could never belong to her dreams. It was dizzying, her heart teetered on the brink. What's the point of chasing dreams if they cost me those I love? Listen, the figure leaned in, the air thick with its biting breath. Reality is an illusion, a prison. Your dreams are freedom and escape from mediocrity. To reach for the stars, you must let go of the anchors. Those words slithered into her mind, and doubt twisted painfully in her chest. Claire teetered on the edge of her decision, heart racing like a drum. Would the leap toward ambition lift her, or send her crashing into despair? Suddenly, a flash surged through her memories of the stories she penned late into the night, of characters who leaped and soared, unencumbered by the weights of the world. I want to sacrifice my heart for success. She yelled, voice trembling but fierce. As she spoke, a burst of light surged from her. It clashed violently with the shadows, illuminating the darkness that had encased her. The figure hissed and recoiled, surprise flashing across its twisted features. You dare resist? A strange determination surged within her, igniting her once stifled dreams. She focused, summoning memories of laughter, joy, and shared warmth. I can have both. I can write and still love. The shadows wavered, shrinking back as if burned by the light she wielded. Claire's pulse quickened, she felt an odd sense of hope weaving through her doubts. Could she truly carve her path without losing everything? A deafening crack echoed, splintering the ground beneath her. Make your choice. The creature screamed, its voice filled with rage and desperation. The ground trembled more violently, and Claire found herself slipping toward the void. This was at the moment of truth. Would she leap into that uncharted territory of her dreams, or claw back toward the comfort of what she knew? Just as she began to tip over the edge, a voice rang in her ears, clear and firm. You're stronger than this. Choose your truth. And in that moment, Claire understood. The weight of choice loomed over her, but something greater lay ahead. As she braced for the inevitable plunge, she could hear the echoes, taunting her to let go. But was bravery strong enough to withstand the pull of darkness? Would she embrace the terrifying unknown, or allow fear to wrap its chains around her heart once more? The abyss loomed, the call of her dreams rang louder. What choice would she make before the shadows consumed her entirely? The tension in the air felt electric, crackling as Claire hovered on the edge of disaster. Her heart was pounding against her ribs, and the abyss below writhed, beckoning her into its terrifying depths. I choose. The words hung in the air, a fragile thread that could snap at any moment. Could she really say it? Could she truly claim her reality? Choose wisely. The figure crooned, its eyes swirling with a dark light, filled with malice and promise. Claire glared at it, defiance igniting a fire deep within. There was a power in her, born from the love she had, the dreams she had cherished. As the last remnant of strength dwindled in her grip, Clara's thoughts spun wildly. She could feel the shadows creeping closer, their darkness seeking to swallow her whole. Memories bubbled up, her friends hugging her tight, her mother's laughter ringing out on summer afternoons. I choose hope. I choose to create. The words burst forth, propelled by a fiercely bright light that erupted from her, illuminating the swirling shadows. The brightness felt like a sword slicing through the darkness, and for a moment, Claire saw the monster shrink back. The figure screamed in fury. You're a fool. You think you can escape me? It lunged forward, tendrils of dark energy twisting around her wrists, pinning her in place. The struggle burned within her. You will never break free. But Claire felt it, an unshakable resolve bubbling within, one that she couldn't stifle anymore. The voices of her friends rang in her ears, cheering her on. Fight, Claire. You are stronger. Gritting her teeth, Claire closed her eyes and envisioned the story she wrote, the characters that sprang to life, unburdened by fear. You don't own me. She shouted, pushing against the shadows with all her might. The ground beneath her quaked violently, threatening to swallow her up as Claire felt the sharp pull of the void. Her heart raced, she was at war within herself. Vision blurred by tears and fear, she pressed on, light bursting from her at every effort. Just when she felt the last flicker of strength fade, a blinding golden light erupted from her core, a manifestation of pure intention, love, and clarity. The shadows hissed, searing in the brilliance that enveloped her. No more. With a primal scream, Claire surged forward, not into the abyss but into the light. The ground trembled again, fissures cracking wide, revealing a divide between light and darkness. The figure's laughter twisted into a roar of rage as the light consumed everything around her. When she emerged from the darkness, the world shifted. She was standing on solid ground, bathed in warmth. The abyss had retreated, leaving only a flickering glow of her truth behind, but something was off. The air felt thick with unease, as if something had changed. Uneasily, Claire scanned her surroundings. Was she truly out of danger? Suddenly, a figure appeared in the distance, shrouded in a familiar cloak. You think you are free, Claire? It beckoned her forward, voice smooth as silk yet laced with menace. You have only just begun to grapple with your real shadow. Her heart dropped, dread saturating her veins. This was not over. What new truth would she face? What lay ahead in this uncharted expanse? Could the light they had forged together withstand the looming darkness? Claire felt a chill snake up her spine as she took a hesitant step toward the figure. The familiar cloak flapped slightly in an unseen wind, and she couldn't shake the sense that this wasn't merely a person waiting to be recognized. It felt like a part of her, something she had buried deep beneath layers of hope and resolve. I know you, she whispered, fear surging through her, threatening to upend the brightness she had just reclaimed. You're not just a shadow. You're a part of my soul. The figure smiled, but it wasn't a comforting smile. It twisted the corners of its mouth, unsettling and sinister. Ah, the insight begins to dawn. You understood the light, but now you must fathom the dark. Every hero has their burdens, and yours are far heavier than you realize. Claire narrowed her eyes. What do you want from me? Want? It echoed, voice smooth as silk yet sharp-edged. To show you the truth. The truth you've run from all your life. It's time to confront what you've hidden away. The figure stretched out a hand. Come, let us walk together. There are things you must see, truths you must accept if you wish to fully summon the light within. Only then can you truly be free. With every passing second, her instincts screamed at her to retreat, but the pull of curiosity was undeniable. The warmth that had buoyed her began to cool, drawing her in like a moth to flame. What secrets had she locked away? As Claire moved closer, trepidation gnawed at her. Shadows loomed at the peripheries of her vision, whispering doubts that clawed at the edges of her confidence. "I don't need to see any more darkness," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "I've fought hard to find my light." "You misunderstand," the figure replied softly. "This isn't about extinguishing your light, it's about illuminating the hidden fears that anchor you to the past. Only by facing them can you elevate to your true self where the light and darkness coexist." The words wrapped around her like chains, squeezing tight. Memories flooded her mind, the pain of past failures, the regret of unspoken words, the heaviness of responsibility she had carried on her shoulders. Could she truly expose those wounds to the light? "Or maybe," said the figure, a cruel smile teasing its lips, "you fear that what lies within is far worse than anything you've dealt with so far. Perhaps that's why you've abandoned those who needed your voice the most. Are you ready to confront your betrayal?" "Stop!" Claire shouted, her voice echoing through the vastness. "You don't know me. You can't twist my memories like that." "Can't I?" The figure laughed, a deep sound that resonated through the cold air. "Watch closely, Claire. The shadows are waiting. They want to remind you who you really are beneath all those layers of hope." Suddenly, images surged around her, a frantic scene of her friends and family, struggling, crying out for her help. The darkness began twisting and writhing, rewriting her memories. The warmth she had fought so hard for flickered, darting like fireflies against an encroaching night. Tears streamed down her face as she choked out, "I did what I had to do." "Did you?" The figure stepped back, releasing a pulse of energy that rapidly expanded, filling the space with a swirling tempest of light and dark. "Now is your time to choose again. What truths will you face? What ties will you break?" With every heartbeat, Claire felt the pressure tightening around her. Somewhere, deep within, she knew that this moment was a crossroads, one she could not evade. But did she have the strength to confront what waited for her in the shadows? Her breath hitched. The stakes were higher than ever. The figure faded into the darkness, leaving only its voice lingering in the air like a haunting echo. "Remember, Claire. The moment has come. Will you embrace the truth?" The shadow swirled closer, enveloping her, as she faced the abyss once more. What awaited her there? Would she find the freedom she desperately craved, or would she be consumed by her own secrets? The shadows wrapped around Claire like cold tendrils, their whispering gloom mixing with the raw ache in her heart. She felt the memories clawing at the edges of her mind, urging her to turn back, to refuse the path being offered. But the figure was gone, leaving only a palpable emptiness in its wake. "Face it, Claire," she whispered to herself, forcing down the fear that threatened to swallow her whole. "You can't keep hiding." The darkness thickened, becoming an oppressive haze. With every breath, Claire's chest tightened, as if the weight of her unspoken past was being pressed against her. She could almost hear the distant echoes of her friends Rachel, Daniel, Lucy, voices that had faded like photographs left in the sun, slowly losing their color. And there it was again, that familiar quaking dread deep in her gut. She closed her eyes, switching her focus from the void surrounding her to the pulse surging within. "What do you want from me?" she yelled into the emptiness, her voice trembling. But silence hung heavy in response, thick and suffocating. Claire's resolve faltered momentarily, but then she pushed forward. "I have to know, I have to understand." A flash of light erupted from the surrounding darkness, illuminating a path twisted and jagged, but there. With hesitant steps, Claire moved forward, compelled by an invisible force. Each breath sent shivers coursing through her, until she reached a clearing where shadows melded into familiar shapes. There, in the light that flickered and dimmed, she saw them, her friends, suspended in the lingering air like trapped spirits. "Help us, Claire!" they cried, their voices a cacophony of pain and betrayal. Each plea struck her deep, igniting guilt she had buried beneath layers of denial. "Please!" Daniel's voice pierced through, echoing the very sentiments she hadn't dared to acknowledge. You left us. You thought you were protecting us, but I had to. She interrupted, her throat raw and burning. I thought I was saving you. It didn't feel like saving, Lucy replied, her eyes glistening with tears. It felt like abandonment. The words cut deeper than any blade could. Claire clenched her fists, fighting the urge to recoil. No. I did what I had to do. Did you? Rachel stepped out from the shadows, her tone both soft and biting. Or did you choose your own fear over our lives? This is the truth you've run from. Suddenly, the darkness surged forward, wrapping tightly around Claire, squeezing until she gasped for breath. I didn't abandon you. She shouted, her voice raw, desperate. I couldn't let you all down. The shadows twisted, morphing into mirages of the past, unspoken apologies, bitter regrets, and choices that echoed relentlessly through time. Each scene unfolded like vivid nightmares, forcing her to witness the fallout of her decisions. Memories surfaced, raw and jagged. The moment she turned her back on Daniel when he lost his way, the torn relationship with Lucy after that fight, the silence that followed Rachel's cries for help. Open your eyes, a familiar voice urged from the darkness. Only then can you heal. Only then can you free us. In an instant, Claire was hit by clarity. She was shackled to her past, dragged by the burdens she had chosen to carry alone. With a fierce breath, she spoke the words she had long silenced. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. As the declaration broke free, the shadows shuddered, swirling around her. Light and dark began to clash, creating waves of energy that surged through her. An intoxicating warmth filled her heart as she breathed in courage and released the weight of guilt, but there was still so much left unsaid, so many secrets that still lurked in the depths of the night. A deeper truth hovered on the horizon, one she was not yet ready to face. What now? She whispered, feeling naked in her vulnerability. Now, the shadows whispered, is when true transformation begins. And just like that, the darkness opened wide, revealing yet another hidden door, a choice she had to make. What would the truth reveal? Would she gain the strength to confront it, or would she succumb to her fears once again? The path ahead shimmered with possibilities, leaving Claire standing at the precipice of discovery. She took a deep breath, heart racing. There was no turning back now. What awaited her behind that door? Claire hesitated on the threshold of the door, her heart pounding in her chest like a war drum. An unseen force tugged at her, urging her forward. She drew a deep breath, the air thick with anticipation, and grasped the handle. With a determined twist, she pushed the door open, and it creaked as if long forgotten. A blinding light flooded her senses, casting aside the shadows clinging to her like a second skin. For a moment, the warmth bathed her, illuminating the corners of her mind she didn't know were dark. Yet the light felt strange, unsettling. Familiar laughter echoed, but it wasn't the comforting kind. It twisted, warped, burrowing deep into her, drawing her into a new world, a place dominated by unspoken fears and truths she had been wrestling with for too long. On the other side stood a vast expanse that felt surreal. Stretching before her was a path lined with floating mirrors. Each reflection displayed a version of Claire caught in moments of her past, some joyous, others horrific. A scene flickered into view. Claire as a child, giggling and carefree. Another flashed, her arguing with Daniel, their faces twisted in anger. What is this? She gasped, stepping closer to a mirror, drawn by the depths of her own eyes staring back at her. Why are you showing me this? Because you must remember, a voice whispered, softer now, less haunting. It was like a breath on her neck. You have run away too long. Face them. She recoiled as the memories surged. The meet-up with Rachel at the diner before everything fell apart, their laughter strained under unspoken words. The night Lucy had cried in desperation, locked within her apartment, how Claire avoided the confrontation, thinking silence might spare her friend more pain. I didn't want to hurt you, Claire choked, pressing her palms against the cool surface of the mirror. I wanted to protect you. Did you? The voice responded, echoing her doubts. Did you protect anyone? Another mirror shimmered into view, revealing a more intense scene. A shadowy figure stood behind her friends, urging them towards despair. They needed you to stand with them, not behind. They needed you, the figure echoed, stretching out a hand that beckoned towards the darkness. No, no! Claire shrieked, covering her ears. She turned away from the windows to her past, panic rising within her. I can't bear this. Bear what? The voice had shifted, it felt closer, like a friend now rather than a ghost. The truth is painful. But it is also freeing. Embrace it. A sudden rush of clarity coursed through her veins. The shadows from the past began to swirl into distinct figures, the memories transforming into vivid realities right before her. Each image now had life, energy, and palpable emotion. She saw Daniel, Rachel, and Lucy hurt but yearning for connection. Despite the pain, they were still there, still waiting. Claire Rachel's figure whispered, each phrase shivering with desperation. Will you face it? Will you fight for us? Fight, the word resonated deep in her. Claire felt a surge in her chest. I want to. I want to face it. With newfound conviction, Claire stretched out her hand towards the shifting reflections. Her fingers brushed against the surface, and to her astonishment, the mirrors rippled, merging into a single glowing portal of light. A new dawn unfurled before her, a flicker of hope amidst the haze. The shadows behind her leaned back, receding like a tide pulling away from the shore. Claire took a step forward, ready to leap into the light. I'll take responsibility. I'll make it right. But just as she was about to cross the threshold, the ground quaked, and a dark figure emerged from the shadows, enveloped in chaos and rage. You think you can just? Fear gripped her heart, and she stumbled back, caught in a web of uncertainty. As the darkness surged towards her, she realized that what lay before her was not merely another path, it was the final confrontation with her fears. What untold secrets awaited her? Would she have the courage to break free from the chains that bound her, or would the shadows reclaim her once more? Claire's heart raced as the dark figure loomed closer, its form twisting and writhing, shadows curling around its edges like smoke. You think the light will save you? It hissed, voice twisted with malice. Embrace your fear. You'd prefer ignorance and comfort over the truth. No! Claire shouted, shaking her head fiercely. I refuse to accept that. Clenching her fists, she felt a fire ignite from within. She had come too far, fought too hard. No shadow could dictate her reality now. In that moment, the darkness surged toward her, a tidal wave of despair threatening to engulf. Yet, with each beat of her heart, memories flooded back to her, laughter shared over coffee, the warmth of her mother's embrace, and the joy found in the stories she poured onto the page. Those connections, those moments of love and understanding, they held weight, gave her strength. Every tether is a choice, the dark figure taunted, shimmering just out of reach. You and your friends, are you truly ready to face the cost of your ambitions? The figure's words echoed in her mind, coating her thoughts in doubt. But no. Claire felt the warmth of her memories swell in defiance. Not at the cost of losing them. She shouted back. The light from within flared, sending rippling waves through the darkness, pushing it back, just a bit. Such defiance, the figure sneered, yet Claire could see it wavering, crumbling under her resolve. But the truth will rend your heart. You cannot confront the shadows without facing the pain they hold. I know, she replied, voice steady as the light pulsed around her. I've run away for too long. If I have to face pain to save them and myself, then so be it. With a fierce breath, Claire summoned all the love, warmth, and understanding she couldn't let go of. Memories erupted around her, the laughter wrapping around her like a shield, tears transforming into resolve. She stepped forward into the light, unwavering amid the encroaching darkness. The ground trembled beneath her feet, and in that moment of immense power, she felt the push and pull of multiple realities, each one teetering on the brink of collapse. She heard the cries of her friends echoing, their voices a harmonic chant interwoven with her own. We believe in you. Fight. With fiery determination, she broke free from the tug of shadows, holding on to the memories that made her who she was. I won't abandon what matters, she proclaimed, pushing against the dark with every ounce of her being. Light exploded around her, consuming the darkness like the first rays of dawn piercing through a night of chaos. The figure howled as the shadows erupted in wild frenzy, snapping and entangling. Yet Claire stood tall. The air shifted, growing lighter, filling with the scent of fresh beginnings and untraveled paths. Remember! The figure screamed, as the void began to shatter. Not all battles end with victory. You'll always struggle with this choice. But Claire laughed, exhilarated, buffered by hope that surged through her veins. I can embrace the struggle. I will face my fears, and I will not be alone. We're meant to journey together. As the light surged around her, Claire felt the shadows dissipate, screaming in desperation until they dissolved into nothingness, leaving only a warm glow to eye. In the wake of that transformation, she emerged into a new landscape, bright and teeming with possibilities. Soft sunlight broke across the horizon, illuminating her path. She turned, looking back to find the remnants of the darkness slowly fading, feeble and weak. Claire! A voice echoed through the light, and she spun around to see her friends standing towards her, filled with warmth and love. Their faces glowed with pride and acceptance, tears of relief streamed down her cheeks as she ran into their arms, enveloped in their strength. I'm so sorry for everything, she choked out, squeezing them fiercely. Understanding shimmered in their expressions, and they embraced her. It's never too late to come back, Rachel whispered, brushing away Claire's tears. No, Claire replied, heart swelling with emotion. It's just the beginning. I'm ready to face whatever comes next with you all. Together, they stood against the dawn, a tight-knit group standing at the edge of a new horizon, hearts entwined and ready to embrace the future. In that golden glow of morning, Claire felt something profound shift within her, a melding of shadows and light, a realization that every story needed both to shape its truth, and as the sun rose higher, she vowed to embrace the stories that awaited her with open arms. This was the moment of her liberation, and now it's your time. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and share your thoughts in the comments. Flood that section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support makes all the difference, and only true fans understand its importance.